Under the shadow of Mount Song, a quiet village slept. Crickets sang in the dark, a peaceful chorus soon to be broken. Suddenly, shouts and the roar of fire shattered the night. Torches flared as bandits stormed the narrow paths. A young boy, Wei, ran through the smoke, his voice desperate. "Father," a cart overturned, flames spreading like a hungry beast. The bandit leader, Koro, laughed as villagers scattered in terror. Wei, fueled by rage, grabbed a wooden stick to fight back but was thrown aside with ease. He was helpless, angry, powerless. By sunrise, the bandits were gone, leaving behind a broken village. And in Wei's heart, something hardened into a cold, sharp stone. Morning mist rolled down the mountain as village elder Han placed a gentle hand on Wei's shoulder. "You cannot fight fire with more fire," he said quietly. Wei clenched his fists, his knuckles white. "I will grow strong," he vowed, his voice tight. "Stronger than all of them." The elder looked toward the mountain peak, where the ancient Shaolin temple stood against the sky. "There is a place," he said, "where strength is forged differently." Wei turned his gaze toward it, his decision made. And he began to walk. The stone steps to the temple seemed endless, winding up through pine trees swaying in the wind. Finally, Wei reached the towering red gates of Shaolin. He pounded his fist against the heavy door. "I want to learn Kung Fu." The silence that followed was heavy. Then, the gates slowly creaked open. Master Rong stood there, his presence still and composed. "Why?" the master asked, his voice calm. "To defeat my enemies," Wei answered without hesitation. The gate closed. Wei refused to leave. He stood before the gate as rain fell, washing over him. He stood there as the sun rose and set, painting the sky in colors he didn't see. He remained, a silent, stubborn statue of defiance. On the third day, Master Rong returned. "If you wish to enter," the master said, "leave your anger outside." Wei hesitated, the fire in his chest battling the will to learn. He looked down, then slowly, he nodded. The gate opened. Wei expected to be thrown into combat training, to learn the art of the fist and the foot. Instead, he scrubbed floors until they shone. He carried heavy water buckets up endless stairs, his muscles screaming. He chopped wood until his hands bled and blistered. From a distance, he watched older students train in the courtyard. He saw June move with a grace that was like flowing water, precise and powerful. Wei muttered to himself, "When will I fight?" June, passing by, overheard him. "When you stop wanting to," he replied, and walked away, leaving Wei to scoff at his words. One evening, Wei's frustration finally exploded. "This is useless." He shouted at Master Rong, "I came here to become powerful." The master didn't raise his voice. He simply handed Wei a bowl filled to the brim with water. Carried this across the courtyard. Fueled by his anger, Wei stormed forward. Water sloshed and spilled everywhere, soaking the ground. Again, the master said, over and over. Wei tried. Each time, his impatience made him fail. Until, at last, he learned to walk slowly, his steps measured, his body balanced, his mind controlled. The lesson was silent, but it was profound. Wei's simmering frustration finally focused on one person, June. He challenged him directly. "Fight me." June simply bowed calmly, accepting. Their sparring began. Wei attacked wildly, his movements strong and aggressive, a storm of fury. June, however, was like a tree in the wind. He stepped aside effortlessly, redirecting Wei's force. Within seconds, Wei was on the ground, the dust settling around him. Humiliated, Master Ron's voice cut through the silence. "A storm is loud, a mountain is silent. Which one lasts?" Wei said nothing, but in the stillness of his defeat, something began to change. Months passed. Wei's training was different now. The raw energy was still there, but it was no longer wild. He focused on his breath, finding a rhythm that centered him. He practiced his stance, learning the strength of being rooted to the earth. He found balance not just in his body, but in his mind. He would meditate for hours beneath a rushing waterfall, letting the roar of the water quiet the noise inside him. He practiced his strikes slowly, with precision, feeling every muscle. The anger inside him no longer burned like a wildfire. It had become the controlled heat of a forge, ready to shape steel. One day, a frightened villager stumbled up the temple steps, breathless and terrified. "The bandits have returned," he cried out. Wei froze. The name Koro echoed in his mind, a ghost from a past he thought he had tamed. He looked at Master Rong, who met his gaze with a steady, knowing look. "This is your test," the master said simply. Wei bowed, his heart calm, his purpose clear. Wei and several other monks descended the mountain path, back toward the village. In the distance, smoke once again tainted the sky. The sight was the same, but Wei was not. This time, he walked with a calm, measured pace. There was no rage boiling in his veins. There was only focus. In the village square, bandit leader Kuro stepped forward, a cruel sneer on his face. "You again," he mocked, recognizing the boy he had once tossed aside. Wei did not answer. He didn't need to. The fight began. Kuro attacked with the same fierce brutality as before, a whirlwind of aggression. But Wei did not rush. He stepped aside, his movements clean and efficient. He redirected Kuro's wild swings, using the bandit's own momentum against him. He was balanced, controlled. Kuro grew frustrated, his anger making him reckless. With a series of precise, calm movements, Wei disarmed him. There was no cruelty in it. No wild punches, no hatred, only discipline. Seeing their leader defeated so easily, the bandits retreated, melting back into the shadows. The villagers cheered, their relief echoing through the broken streets. But Wei felt something deeper than triumph. It wasn't the satisfaction of revenge he had craved for so long. It was peace. Elder Han approached him and bowed slightly. "You have changed," he said, his old eyes filled with wisdom. Wei smiled softly, a true smile that reached his eyes. Yes, back at Shaolin Temple, Wei knelt before Master Wong in the quiet training hall. "You defeated your enemy," the master said, his voice resonating with the temple's stillness. Wei looked up and slowly shook his head. "No," he replied. "I defeated my anger." A faint, knowing smile touched Master Wong's lips. "Then you have learned." The temple bells echoed across the mountains, their sound a deep, resonating hum. Wei stood in the courtyard as the sun set, painting the world in gold and crimson. He was still, grounded, strong, not because he could strike, but because he had finally learned when not to. Thank you for watching.